Hey, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the markets for April 6th, 2021, starting with the S&P 500. We continue to close above 400, showing that market participants are finding price acceptance up here. We still do have a lack of supply, as shown in the volume. This bearish divergence in PPO is still in play, so I am a little cautious here. We do have two potential patterns in play from a market symmetry standpoint. I'm looking for something like that before a pullback. If this is some new impulse wave, we could see a wave 3 to terminate somewhere up here. But we haven't had a red day in quite some time. I think we're going on 7 bars now. So we should see some pullback here. But this pattern I was looking for here seems to be going the other way. And what's very important is this PPO continues to curl up. So as that continues to be evidence that the bulls are here and buying the dip, continues the ride to 10 and the 20. We're going to go right into the tech sector, which seems to be what everyone's talking about now. I was buying tech here and adding to my position here, March 26th. Right now, you can see we closed with a doji on the day, and we have, I would say, a high probability of going sideways to down from here. And if we do go up, it's likely to fill a gap or set a marginal new high before we come back down. That being said, I do really enjoy when all the moving averages get a look like this, where you can see the 10, the 20, the 40, the 50, the 100 all right next to each other and starting to curl up, with the 200 sloping up below. This is about as bullish as it gets. I do like the volume profile that we see here and here. I do love the symmetry between this move here and this move here. Not exactly the same, but close. Very, very close. I do love how the PPO got very negative and reset on this move. And then this is essentially now an ascending channel. So if you're a buyer here and we come back down into the 315 POC area, there's no reason why you shouldn't be adding to that position. At this point, you could probably put your stop at 307.39 in the Qs and just be patient. I would be trimming anything above 335 into the 350s for the month of April. I don't really see getting above that. That being said, I was a buyer back here, and I did sell some yesterday and today. This 331 gap fill was a target for me back at 298 and 302. So I have to take profit. We run this like a business. That's a 10% gain. I was using the TQQQ ETF, which netted around 25 to 30% on that trade. So that was a nice little swing trade for me in the group. Let's take a look at how energy's doing. This is definitely consolidating the move that started in October. So if you've been following me for any time now, you've known that I've been bullish energy, finance, Canadian pot stocks, US pot stocks, and the return to work theme, the Carnival Cruise, oil, all that. Since probably September, I've been well positioned. I have been selling a lot of those names. I did liquidate some CCL. I did liquidate Exxon. I did liquidate CGC. And it will be time to play those again in the coming month or two. Right now, I'm looking at XLE somewhere near SMA 100. We've closed below the 50. We've been at it for about a week or two now. The 20's curling down. It's not a real good look. You can certainly say that we overshot here, which is evident of a wave 3. Happens all the time. We do have the volume. However, the PPO is higher here. So we would need to look back and maybe take a look at this structure a little bit more. Also, closing one day below the 50 isn't enough to break trend. We need to see 2 closes. We need to see the 50 go sideways and down. So the bears have a lot of work to do still. And based on the shape here of these moving averages, you can see this is still relatively a new bull trend. So there's going to be some chop here before we really get going. I would love a pullback on XLE into this gap, the 44, 64, 45 area, this high here. You can see they gapped above it. It looks like they're going to come back and test this area. Maybe they don't get to the blue trend line. Maybe they just get back here. So this is certainly an area of interest for me. And conversely, I would be a seller up here. Even if they hit a new high, I'm not expecting much more. And that's kind of how I would view this. We also need to see PPO get somewhere down here, the 0 line, and we need to see the blue signal line cross over the red. One more sector to look at, XLF. We can start to see that we might have a top here. But PPO curling up again. It's possible they give it another go. I did put in a little count here for a little 5-wave move up. I still stand by that count until we close above 35.29. It's entirely possible that we just have the beginning of an ABC. Something like this. And based on the retrace so far, we would expect the C to come just back down here to 33 level for the finance sector XLF. But I'm looking some little flat like that. We would certainly be coming back down into this gap area, get a retest of what was resistance, confirm it is now support. That would get the PPO back down to the 0 line, which is where we like to buy. We like to see the momentum completely reset for the next wave up or down. So yeah, I think that whole long XLF trade might be coming to an end. Yeah, at least for the short time. I mean, we got to see some sideways action, some flagging. This can't continue forever. But as long as she stays above 31.08, 31.38, we're doing fine. But I would not be a buyer of XLF up here. Definitely not. So we'll take a look at some of the stocks that I've been watching. Exxon Mobil, zoom in here. You do see a little bit of weakness. PPO resetting to 0. We do see an opportunity here. 20 curling down. Maybe a big A so far, a little bit of a B, and then, you know, maybe something like this. in the coming sessions. Right now, I am not buying. We are waiting for these moving averages to get a little bit closer and to see what happens with the 50. The whole pot stock sector has been a mess since the top. We played this perfectly. This made our quarter. We were sellers up here. We did start buying again back here on the 5th, and actually in some instances we caught the low here on the 23rd. But it's kind of been dead money ever since. This could be a big bear flag where we're heading back down to the POC back at 19 bucks. They could also be just exhausting all supply here before some big rally higher. U.S. legalization is obviously driving this market, and until we get some update there, I don't really see any change happening here. The chart could certainly break down, but the market's too bullish for it to get really ugly. I think something maybe like this to wrap this up, if in fact 30 breaks. Very interesting that they came into 30.70 today. They went right up to 30.80 and reversed. They've been playing games all week. There is an incredible bullish divergence here in PPO. Somehow held this higher low pattern. The range on these candles is getting extremely tight. Lots of dojis. There's going to be a move coming tomorrow. There's a lot of supply up here. If this starts to break down, we're going to see 29.35 real quick. And if you look at it from the weekly perspective, she's been above the 20 now. And they've been kind of just collecting shares for 6 weeks. If this starts to break down, we're heading back down to the $24 range rather quickly. There's no reason to believe that the 200 and the 50 won't be support. They certainly should be. Lots of evidence here that they were resistance, support, confirmed support. So a retest of that area likely would result in finding buyers. But the best case scenario is that this was the end of whatever this wave was. Maybe this is a truncated 5. It ends here. That's your wave 1. Maybe the low was here. That's your wave 1. Doesn't really matter. What the bulls need to see is ideally they hold the 30.70 low and they rally higher, and start to put in some ABC correction on the weekly chart. Ultimately, before we see something like this. And that is kind of what I'm looking for here. Now, that could all be for naught. We certainly have a 5-wave move down on the daily right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Possible leading diagonal. Possible ABC. And I don't really know what all this is. It's also possible this is another 5-wave move lower. Some ending diagonal. I don't really know. It's very hard to count. It's just a bunch of congestion at this point, sideways action, and looking at the weekly really shows you that. So don't get too lost in the weeds. It's all inside this March 1 candle. Let's take a look at Amazon, and we'll zoom into some of the strong tech stocks. It is possible that we've got the start of something big here. We've been accumulating at SMA 50, but I'm not very excited. We've got a lot of congestion here. A lot of congestion. And they're not just going to waltz right through that. Now, it's nice that the moving averages are so close to each other. It's definitely a look that actually gets me pretty excited. Right? It's been a while since the daily chart of Amazon has looked like this. Right? I mean, it's been so extended since the March run. It's been going sideways since July of last year. If you really want to just talking almost 9 months now. That being said, we've still got some resistance up above. The 3250 area is going to be critical. If they get above 3250, this could really get running. Today does look like a reversal sign. So I would expect tomorrow sideways to down, move back into the 5-period moving average, and let this bleed off a little bit. This recent move bleed off a little bit. Some of the other stocks that I've been watching are CrowdStrike. They certainly have my interest again. This could get ugly, and we end up down here in this blue box if this is some type of wave 4. But right now, it looks like a breakout to me. We will need to see some volume show up in the coming sessions, so that's why I'm keeping a close eye on her. But I don't see any reason why she can't at minimum hit 208. And best case scenario 230 to 239. So if you're looking at a risk reward, you put your stop, 168.67, or if you want to be real aggressive, maybe 175. And you're looking for 23%. So it's a breakout trade. It's definitely on my list for the coming sessions. Penn looked like she was breaking down. Got a lot of volume coming in today. We got to see what happens here at the 100, but this thing has been one hell of a trade. $3 to 142. I bought in right here. I was a seller here. We were buyers here. We were sellers here. And we just liquidated the rest of our position here. We've been out of this trade now for 3 weeks. We're going to wait this one out until we get back in the $72 to $56 area. MSOS is an interesting one if you're looking at playing the U.S. cannabis space. Looking like a bull flag right now, but she could be heading lower. So at this point, I've got my stop set here at 38.80. I was looking at her this day. If she comes below that, we're probably looking at $35. And in order to get going, she's got to get out of this downtrend. Until that happens, it's likely stuck in the mud. We'll take a look at GDX. Actually done very, very well. Going back to the lows on March 3rd. There's no doubt in anyone's mind, gold is in a downtrend. What we want to try to do here is see what pattern we're working with. Is this an ABC up, ABC down, and then an ABC up, completing an ABC, which is what I'm anticipating. Looking to sell somewhere around the 35, 36, 36.56 area. And in best case scenario, 38.40. But really just challenging the 200 on the daily again. Or are we looking at the start of a new impulse wave? And we're really looking at something up here, $40 before wave 3 ends. And we'd be looking for a 5-wave move up. to give some context, you got to zoom out a little bit. You can see the 100 on the weekly is very important. Is this an ABC up on the weekly, kind of like we had here? Or are we going to get a new 5-wave move up, kind of like we had here? It's one of those times where, you know, you come up, you go up, you come back down, and then you really get going. Is that what's happening with gold right now? I mean, the PPO's crossing. It's getting really attractive, boys. It's getting really attractive. I do have a position. I did accumulate this bad boy back here and back here. So I've got a decent size, and I will be looking to sell, take some off as we approach this this downtrend. And to wrap up the video, we'll take a look at Airbnb. This is my favorite return to work theme stock. I do love the idea of this company. I also like VRBO. Why stay at a hotel? I've been traveling a lot. I love Airbnbs. So I do love that idea. I also love the chart pattern. We have a technical chart pattern that is about as textbook as it gets, a leading diagonal that broke down. Right, we get a very, very technical retrace 50%. We tagged it twice. We came up to the 61.8% retrace at 159 and put in a reversal candle, and ideally in the bullish count put in an impulse move, 161.90 to 215. You know, pretty impulsive, 35% move. Also note that the daily higher low was never broken, so the move went straight up. And then an ABC zigzag back. So is this a 1-2? And now we're in a 3 right now. That's the count that I have. That's at least the count that I see as most probable. I also do see a lot of sideways action still. Possible something like this before we really start going. But that being said, this is a top watch for this summer as people start traveling again. I would put your stop 161.90 to 159.10. Any dip into 170 is for buying. That concludes the video. Appreciate you tuning in, and we look forward to hearing from you tomorrow.